This is my co-host, Jake Handler, and we are so happy and excited to be here today. So tonight's objective is that in about 30 minutes, you're going to gain the confidence to take small, practical steps towards building long-term wealth through real estate. And you're also going to understand where you stand right now on that journey. All of us right now are in different places. So hopefully you kind of find your spot in this and you're able to take some actually tangible action steps that you can use once you leave. Okay, but first, who the hell are we? Why should you listen to Jessica Lindsay and Jake Handler? Go first, Jake.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Jake Handler. I'm a real estate investor, realtor, and property management. Like I was saying, I live in New Jersey, and that's where I operate all of my business right now. And this is a picture of an Icon Award. So my wife and I are realtors, and we won the Icon. Well, we were awarded Icon Award recipients for eXp Realty in September of 25. Which means we were in the top 2% of the entire brokerage. Now, the little hack is that we have each other, so they view us because we're married as one. So we kind of each did half, but it is what it is, and we still get the award that and all the great things that come with it. Thank you. And this is a picture of me and my 3 friends that I actually grew up with all of them. We decided in 2022 to start a property management company. And I like sharing this picture, even though my story in this webinar is not about property management. I like sharing this picture because we kind of just like, you know, you and your friends, when you're little, you're just like, hey, let's do this. Or when you're naive, you're like, hey, let's go start a company. Let's go flip a house. Let's do these crazy things. Well, that was us, and we did it. And it takes up a lot of, I invest a lot of time and effort into that. Even today, it's a company we're building from the ground up in 2022. So back in 2015, my journey starts, and it starts actually as a teacher, which Jess also was. So it's funny, we both actually taught for 8 years as well, and now we're both in real estate. And I think we joined, at the same time. So this is me signing my first contract as a teacher. And I was living the life of like a lot of gym teachers do. I was refereeing basketball. I'm somewhere in the back there. That's me in 2015. And then I was also coaching baseball. So those were like my side gigs, really the things I enjoyed more than teaching. But that's how I made my income, doing all 3 of these things. And then in 2020, when COVID happened, I was telling Jess I was trying to learn Spanish, but I quickly gave that up and got my real estate license once COVID hit. So I happened to be trying to learn Spanish around 2020. But when COVID hit and I had like a lot more time, because how do you teach gym virtually? You figure it out, but you got time on your hands, trust me. Getting my real estate license was always something I had said I wanted to do and thought about doing, but because it was then virtual to take the course, I did fail the test a couple of times. This is the passing photo that I'm sharing, but if I had failed, I looked for the failed ones. I couldn't find them. It took me a few times to pass the test. And then in 2023 is when, so I was teaching during this whole time, but I was, when I got my real estate license in 2020, I was doing a dual career for 3 years until 2023, when I decided to put this graphic into effect and take the leap, bet on myself, and leave teaching and become full-time in real estate, something that I did not think was ever going to happen in my life. And I did not even get my real estate license to one day do that. But 3 years later, I found that I was doing it. I took a leap on myself, and here I am today.
Awesome.
And then here I am today, 2026. This is just a picture of my aunt. I'm sorry, it's not my aunt, my niece and my mom. And we're at the zoo, which is, I like sharing this photo because it's a weekday. I think it was last June. Remy is the girl. She had no school that day, and I would be teaching typically at that time, but it was because it was a weekday during the day. We just went to the zoo, and the flexibility I have now is tremendous, and it's something I love to take advantage of. And this next photo is a picture of a pretzel with one bite. I think that's Meg's hand. Meg's my wife here. I think based on the fingernails, that's your hand, Meg. But the reason I like sharing this photo is because this is January of 2026. So Meg and I went to Florida in January of 26, the entire month. And we were able to operate our New Jersey business from Florida. And this is actually on UCF campus. I don't know if anyone's ever had Amish pretzel company, I think this is called. It's fucking incredible. Like Auntie Anne's, but like $4 a pretzel. It's so good. So we spent all month kind of here in the nice weather, and our flexibility of our life allowed us to. And then this is us during a vacancy of one of our units that we own, just eating Chinese food and being our own cleaners.
Well, thank you so much, Jake. My name is Jessica Lindsay. I'm a mortgage loan originator, but my background is actually in education. So this first picture here was me in one of my first, I think this was maybe my third year of teaching back in Denver, Colorado is where I started. I was a bilingual teacher. This is my advisory. Back then, the advisories were based on the college that the teacher went to. I went to Penn State. My kids were obsessed with Penn State, just like I was. And that's kind of where I began my journey. And then 5 years into being in Denver, and also when COVID, actually right before COVID hit, I decided I needed a change. I was feeling antsy. I needed to get out and go somewhere else. So I went to Colombia, to a city called Bucaramanga. And here I taught in an international private school. No, I did not teach English, but I taught in English. I taught humanities. And it was an amazing experience. I loved being a teacher so much. It's a huge part of who I am. I'm very passionate about helping people achieve their goals, making their kind of dreams come true. And this is definitely where I started that. So I just want to show you, this was a view. This was the view from my 16th floor apartment back in Bucaramanga. It was a gorgeous view. Every single day I woke up like in awe of just the beauty, rainbows all the time, sunsets, sunrises. It was incredible. And then when I decided to leave teaching in February of 23, and I came back to the US, and I came to Denver, which is where my partner lives. And I ended up actually on the 16th floor again, but this time it's a view of Denver's Capitol Hill. You can see the mountains in the background. So it was another breathtaking view, but a little different. And I had these two pictures here for a while because that kind of was my story going from here to there. But as of now, a couple months ago, I am happy to say that I am a homeowner as well. And This is now my home in Denver, Colorado. We live right near the Santa Fe Arts District, which is like a really fun area. My house is 135 years old. It's a little bungalow over here, but I love it. I feel just proud of myself for, the change that I went through from leaving teaching to now. A lot has happened, obviously. I've learned a lot, and some of these things I can't wait to share with you guys today. So not only did I just come back to the US and decide to embark in the mortgage business, but I am blessed to be able to work with my company, which is also my family. We're called North Capital Funding. This is my mom, Bernadette. Her real name is Bernardita, but she goes by Bernadette in English. She is the owner of our company. She's been in the mortgage business. Actually, this year is her 35th year in the mortgage business. And so we're celebrating that. So she's the owner of the company. My brother, Bobby, who's right here, is a loan officer with us. My dad, this is Bob. He's a retired now, kind of semi-retired realtor of like 47, 48 years. So I have grown up around the mortgage real estate business. It's just always been something that my family was involved in. And it, took me about 8 years to go and live my life, live in Colombia, just to come back and realize that, hey, this is an amazing opportunity and this is what I want to do. So this is our office located in downtown Denver, which is where Jake lives. And yeah, I'm super happy and grateful to be with them. These are just a few pictures of some awesome closings that I've had in the last couple of years, and really in the last year, a couple of years. And my passion is not just helping people make their dreams come true through buying real estate, but it's really like these specific women. These are hardworking women that don't necessarily come from wealth. Actually, none of these people come from wealth. Some of them bought homes while they were single as teachers, working hardworking jobs, and basically trusted the right people, took the right steps, and made these amazing, feats come true. So it is an honor to work with clients, especially like these. And that is basically my why. That is why I do what I do.
Love that.
Thank you. So our expectations for tonight is that we have nothing to sell to you. We are just going to tell you like it is. We're going to be sharing real stories, real numbers, and just kind of putting it all out there for you. We really encourage participation. So if you could, please have your camera on. We love when you write in the chat, even if it's a comment or a question, whenever you want to raise your hand. I love that some of us were using the little effects here, like the celebration buttons and everything. That is great. Keep it coming. If you want to come off mute and share something, we totally encourage that. This should feel kind of like a conversation and not just talking at you. Also, if you can please get a pen and a paper or napkin ready, because we're going to be using that at some point. All right.
Yep. So I'm going to talk about my story a little bit, and then Jess will connect the numbers behind them a little deeper. And then I'll tell you at the end, like, how you can do this today. So my first purchase was in 2020. And that's a picture of me at the closing table. And I was a teacher in 2020, like I said. So my income was $58,000. And I'm in North Jersey, which is an expensive area to buy a property, and high taxes too. And so my cash to close here at a $300,000 purchase price was about $32K. And I like sharing that because I personally utilize the strategy of low money down and leverage. And I feel like at a younger age, that is a good strategy. And that was a strategy I chose. So I'll be talking about that strategy in addition to other ones going forward here. And here, again, using leverage, which if I had $32,000 and put that in any other asset class that I'm aware of, I can't own something 10 times as valuable, right? It's the beauty of real estate and having leverage. So then in 2022, so 2 years after my first purchase, I made a second purchase, and my income went up a little bit, 62 grand that year, again with reffing and teaching and coaching. Continued to use a low money down strategy, so my purchase price went up a little bit. And I'm going to get into how I was able to do that a little later. Cash to close was still low relative to the sale price. So I utilized leverage once again. And now I was able to own 2 properties. So I actually was able to keep property number 1 while moving into property number 2. And now I became a landlord. So then March 1 of 2024. So this is a picture of me in Jamaica on March 1st, 2024. So this is me. I own 2 properties, and I'm the man, right? Or I feel like I'm the man, and I'm definitely not. And so hold on. So sorry, real quick. So that's what happened on March 1st, 2024, where I felt really good about myself. And then if you just were able to see May 5th of 2024, only 4 months later, my tenant reports a leak to me. Now, that first picture, I'm not going on the beach to retire and celebrate. I just happened to be having a pina colada in that photo. And I do remember feeling really cool that while we were in Jamaica on March 1st and I was kind of drunk, I had rent hit my account. Like, I remember that feeling. So I took a selfie of myself, even though I'm not smiling in it. And then it humbles you real fast because look, 4 months later, my tenant, that's a Sunday night too. If you look up the date, May 5th, 2024 is a Sunday, and that sucked. So that's part of landlording.
I love it.
All right. And then I had a third purchase in 2025. So at this point, like when I was sharing my story, I did leave teaching in 23. So at this point, my realtor income is about 100K. There's Meg and I at the closing table. Continued to use low money down strategies because I feel like that's the best as I'm leveraging my wealth being young. And I now became a serious landlord. I utilize leverage here, and now I own property 1 and 2 that are rental properties, and I live in the 3rd property. So now I own 3 properties.
Sorry, let me just add this person in. Okay. All right.
And for me, building a real estate portfolio, things to keep in mind that's super important. And again, this is trying to be relatable because it should be because of my salary at the time. I never made a ton of money. I think it's a really relatable probably amount of money. And I'm in a really expensive area of the country, which some people are in cheaper areas on this call. I was never given a ton of money. So there was no gift fund or no one died and I inherited. Nothing like that happened. I optimized the hand I was dealt. So I was pre-approved for about $300K, and that's what my sale price was. And I utilized real estate as a tool for building wealth. So I not only put down low money, but I had more strategies that I'll talk about the next time I talk in this webinar. And I, rather than just seeing as real estate as somewhere to live, I saw it as a wealth building tool. So I like to say, you don't need, I didn't come up with this quote, you don't need to be wealthy to start, you need to start to become wealthy. And I think that's a relevant quote to my story here.
I love that. Okay, so if you're watching Jake and you're thinking, okay, great, Jake, that's awesome, but what about me? This is where now we're going to focus kind of on our own situations. So please go ahead and grab your paper, napkin, receipt, whatever you got, your pen, and get ready to jot a few things down. All right, so we're going to do a quick affordability check. So the goal of this activity is that by the end of this, each of us are going to have a ballpark idea of what a comfortable monthly payment would be for your home. And of course, this is not a pre-approval. I need to tell you this as a mortgage lender. This is just a conversation starter, and it's just a little exercise to see how your income and your debts play into this affordability. All right, let's get started. So step one, please everybody calculate your monthly gross income. So this is what you earn before taxes. Don't try to run the numbers of how much the taxes are deducted each month. This is what you earn before taxes. So if it's easier, so I know some of us are paid hourly. So you basically take your hourly rate, multiply that by the amount of hours that you work. For many of us, that's 40 hours. And then times the 52 weeks in a year, that's your annual gross income. Then you'll divide that by 12 to get your monthly gross income. Again, if you don't know exactly what it is, that's okay. You can kind of put a ballpark number right now and then come back to this later. So we're going to use Jake's example. So when he was making $70,000 per year, we divide that by 12. So he was making about $5,833 a month as his gross income. Give us a couple more seconds. And if I ever go too fast, please, come off mute and tell me to go back or stop. Okay, let's go to step two. Now let's write down our monthly debts. And these are debts that would show up on your credit report. So things like a car loan, student loans, credit cards. We don't care about your gym membership or, any utilities, nothing like that. These are just things that would appear on your credit report. So go ahead and list those out. And we'll use, again, Jake's example. So he had a car loan for $350 a month. His credit card minimum was $100 a month. Student loans about $250, and so totaling about $700 a month in debts. It's very important. A lot of us know what we make each month, but not a lot of us know actually what we're spending each month or what the obligations are to pay. So this is very important. Again, if you don't know this right now, that's fine, but make sure you come back to this because this is a big one. All right, moving to step three. Now we're going to find our debt to income ratio. So this is a term that lenders use every day. This is basically how we qualify our borrowers. It's a ratio that we find by, it's what it sounds like, dividing your total monthly debt by your monthly income. And that's how we find the DTI. So again, this is how lenders measure what of your income is already spoken for. So in Jake's example, he had a $700 a month in debt divided by his $5,833, and that's 0.12 or basically 12% DTI. So a good rule of thumb is that lenders usually want your DTI, which includes whatever that future housing payment is going to be around 45 to 50%. Of course, there's some programs that they can go a little over, but to be on the conservative side, let's stick to this 45 to 50% or lower. All right. Keep moving forward. Again, let me know if I'm going too fast. All right. Step four. We're now going to figure out, okay, that DTI is great, but what could my potential housing budget look like? So how much of my income could go towards housing, again, while keeping that total DTI under 45%? And remember, we're being a little on the conservative side using 45%. So we get that by multiplying your monthly income, whatever that number is, by 0.45. that number is your total maximum debt allowance. If you have more debt than that, you're not going to be qualifying for any kind of loan. And then you're going to subtract your current debts to find out how much room you have for a housing budget. So let's go back to Jake's example. He had his $5,833 a month times the 0.45, and that's $2,625 that he's allowed total of all his debts combined. But then we have to subtract the $700 that he already had in existing debts. So that leaves him with $1,925 a month available for his housing budget. And that means that's not just the loan, but that's the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, and any HOA, which he definitely did have HOA when he was living in condos. Okay, so I hope everybody at least has these things written out now. Sometimes it's not very comfortable to confront, our debts and the things that are going out every month, but it's really important that you're aware of that, not just if you want to buy a home, but just to be aware. It's important information. Okay. We'll pause here. If there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, come off mute. Okay, I think we might be good to keep moving forward.
Awesome.
Great.
So diving a little deeper, my property number one, if you recall this terrible photo of me, I purchased it for $300K and my cash to close is about $32K. So what did that look like on a monthly basis? Well, here's a breakdown. I was paying almost $2,300 a month. Now that's an amount that obviously the lender, the bank, felt comfortable with lending to me based on what I brought as a down payment to closing for my first property, making $58K a year. But in my head, I wanted to do something I wanted to move faster. I wanted to be a real estate investor. And at that pace, I was going a little slower than I liked. So I did something called house hacking. So house hacking, it's not a term I made up. It's very common. And it's definitely not a strategy I made up because people do it all the time. And, it's easier to house hack if you're living in a 2-family or a 3-family and renting out the other units. But house hacking, which is essentially just renting space in your home, again, a 2 or 3 family is a little easier because you don't have to share a kitchen with the people. For me, I couldn't afford that. So it was only approved up to $300K. So I used what I could. I was dealt that hand and I played it, and I rented one of the bedrooms for $1,200 a month. Now that shows it was a male roommate. My friend Matt moved in, and he was paying me $1,200 a month, which is about 60% of my monthly payment. So I was living in my head for 60% off, and you can't beat that. Mm-hmm. Now, this isn't like a house hacking seminar, so if you are in a position where you feel uncomfortable doing that, this concept, the strategy of stacking properties still works by moving into them because there's a lot of value in moving in versus buying investment properties. There's a lot of advantages. But this is property number 2, and I became addicted to house hacking. I thought I might not like it. I wasn't sure, but I loved it, and I love the monthly money coming in. So back to the numbers here, and let's show it on a monthly payment basis. So it's almost $3,100 a month. But this time I bought a bigger property because I already house hacked before, and I had more friends, being, a guy in my 20s, and I had more friends that would move into this property. So at this point, Meg is in the picture. Thank you, Meg, for allowing 2 of my friends to live with us. And we house hacked 2 more bedrooms, or, 2 other bedrooms. So now if you do the math, I'm collecting about $2,400 a month in rent. And my monthly payment is about $3,100. Now it's like 75% off. And property number 1 is at least completely rented out as in its entirety, probably cash flowing a couple $100 on that. Nothing crazy, but if you add them up, it's pretty low level living and owning 2 homes with a teacher salary. And then again, the addiction kept going. Property number 3. I continued to do low money down, which made even more sense as I house hacked because I didn't so much care what it was what the monthly payment was as much as I would if I wasn't house hacking, because I knew my roommates were paying most of it anyway. So my monthly payment, as the house got bigger and the sale price went up, so does the monthly payment, about $3,200 per month. And yes, you guessed it, continued to house hack a 3-bedroom home. And then I rented out 1 and 2. So now I have collected 3 properties in just 5 years of a simple, low money down, moving around strategy. Is it convenient? Not really. Moving sucks. Packing sucks. Doing all that kind of is not fun. But what is convenient and worth it? Not many things, right? So it's worth it. All right. So if you want to do this yourself, like today, this is how you start. So this is dated today, this pre-approval, but what I would do and what I did back in 2020 when I started, I called Jess and I said, Jess, I would like a pre-approval, please. Like, here's my numbers, here's my stats, this is my income, here's my debt. So she would figure out my DTI with me and she would issue me this pre-approval. Now this pre-approval shows $300,000 that I could buy. So that's what my first property costed me. That's what I bought it for. So I would contact my realtor knowing that I have this $300,000 pre-approval. And a real life example of one that actually sold like 2 months ago is this. So if you're thinking like 300K won't get you anything, well, I'll show you that you're wrong. This is in Rockaway Township, New Jersey, which is a town over from where I live. I'm very familiar with this unit and this townhome area. So this sold 2 months ago for $285. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath, and it's about 1,100 square feet. Look at it. It's really nice. So I'm not even showing you like some thing you wouldn't want to touch or live in. This is a really nice property. Very house hackable, very rentable. If you would live there and I would live there, then so would your friends. And this is exactly the type of condo that I got started with. And this sold 2 months ago, and there's many more. Or, oh, yep, sorry, the numbers. So real quick, I'll break this down. If you bring 10% down for that example, you're looking at about 28K. Closing costs will round up to about 6,500. So all in, your cash to close, just like I was when I first started, it could be about 35 grand. And the monthly payment's about 2,600. Now think about if you wanted to go the house hacking route and collect maybe 1,200 from a friend, then you're living for almost 50% off there. It's really just how I got started. And then one more example of a real life example that just sold. This looks like 7 months ago. This is a single family home. So this is more comparable to my second purchase. But if you were like, no, I really don't want to live in a condo, then perhaps this could be your first purchase as well. It sold for $435K. 3-bed, 1-bath. If you see the condition here, photos, similar to mine, actually, it looks like it could use some updating. You could move into it on the first day, but you could also kind of upgrade as you go. And the numbers behind this at 10% down, you're looking like between 10% down and closing costs, you're bringing about 50K to closing. And you're looking at less than $3,100 a month rental in mortgage payment. And again, if you think about house hacking, that math speaks for itself if you choose to go that route. So because I bought my first property, that first 2-bedroom condo, similar to one that sold 2 months ago that you could buy today for a similar price, I established the foundation to pursue my passion, which for me was real estate. At the time I was a teacher, and no, this isn't a seminar about leaving your job and becoming a realtor or whatever. My path is just my path. But without that foundation, would I have taken the risk, like the risks of leaving a really, solid job and taking a swing at myself? Maybe not. I have created my own retirement plan. So I'm not relying on, I have some 401k and IRA. I still have that. That's great. But I control my retirement plan with my wealth that I've accumulated. And then this is the best one of all. I even housed my parents and my in-laws. So actually my parents sold their house. And when you sell your house and then you got to buy another one, and that's always, you got to compromise somewhere. You're either compromising on the sale because you got to find a buyer that's more flexible, or you got to compromise on the purchase, maybe not live where you want to live. They didn't have to compromise. They sold their house and then rented, like just lived in my first property, so my condo, for 6 months until they found the perfect home that they wanted to find, and now moved into that home. And then I found new tenants. And then my in-laws, Meg's parents, are moving into one of our houses soon too, which we're renovating right now. So, I mean, this is just beyond numbers. This is just the best part.
Wow, I love that.
And then last little quote, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. I didn't foresee any of these things. I just did the first step. I just literally took one step forward.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Jake. We'll pause again if there's any questions, comments. Anybody want to share anything? It's okay if not. We'll keep moving forward. We're almost wrapping up here. Thank you guys for sticking with us. So we've thrown a lot of information at you. I know we're all in different places right now, but I guess this is really speaking to the people who are like, okay, there's so much in front of me. What can I do right now? Like, I might be nowhere near that. Just like Jake said, you got to get started. So we're all in our own places. It just matters that we take any kind of step forward. So these are just a few little tips to kind of get that little kickstart and start taking those steps towards wealth. You really need to start where you are. So if you're a person who maybe has to work on your credit or your debt, an easy tip right now is just pay down debt and starting with either the smallest amount first or the highest interest first. So here's a quick little screenshot of these are literally two of my credit cards that I have. One of them, the APR is $19.99. The second one is $27.99. Which one am I going to start paying off first? You guessed the second one, you're correct, right? Because that interest, I'm just throwing money away at that the more I let it sit there. So that is a quick tip. If you have debt right now, start tackling the smallest or the highest interest first. The second one, track your money in whatever way makes sense to you. Like I mentioned before, a lot of us know what comes in each month. Some of us might have a salary or kind of a fixed income, but not enough of us know what we're actually spending each month. So whether you want to get an app, like I know there's apps like Mint or Empower, or like your own Excel sheet. I know even like I see people online on Instagram that they offer like a free budget tracker. That's great. I'm kind of an old school girl, and my partner and I like to use a whiteboard. So literally every month we write down when we go get groceries, when, you know, any kind of expense we put in there, and I have pictures of it and we can see each month what we've spent. This is from a few months ago. The expenses have changed with the mortgage now, but it's okay. Another one, which again, you'd be surprised how many people, not just in their 20s, but like 30s and 40s, don't have a high yield savings account. If you don't have a high yield savings account, this is your sign to start one. Even if it's something like saving $25 a week, whatever you can, it's important that little by little, you're putting money to the side. Personally, I use a program called Betterment. If you want, this is a little QR code to get you started. It gives you like a 3-month boost. You get a little, I think it's like a 0.75% boost on your first 3 months. So if you don't have a high yield savings account, feel free to use that. But again, whatever makes sense for you. One of my clients who was a teacher, is a teacher still, but when she first started off buying her first home, her little trick, this was back in like 2016, 2017, her little trick was every week, every Friday, she would put $20 into a jar. Some weeks she had the full $20 in there. Some weeks maybe she had 5 or 10, but she did that every week. And my girl ended up buying her home. And you know what? I actually helped her buy her second home this past year because she sold her first home, used the equity that she built on that to put a down payment on her bigger, more beautiful home. So again, whatever way that works for you, but you got to start where you are. And then lastly, again, pay attention to your credit. That really is one of the most important factors when you're speaking with the lender. The higher your credit, the better your interest rate. The lower your credit, the worse it gets. There's a few different ways you could do that. I'm sure all of our bank apps have some kind of credit tracking system We all, as people living in the US, get a free credit report every year. That's on annualcreditreport.com. This is a little program that we use called Experian Boost, where it kind of takes your utilities, your Netflix, your water bill, and it uses that to kind of instantly boost your score, and it's free. So these are just a few little tips and tricks that we're sharing right now if you feel like you need help to kind of get started. But again, it matters that you take any kind of step forward wherever you're at. Okay, so thank you guys for sticking with us this whole time. Just to close out, please let us know in the chat, what is one small action that you're going to take in the next 7 days to move closer to your financial goals? We have a few little suggestions here. Maybe it's starting your high yield savings account. Maybe it's just checking your credit score. But go ahead and put in the chat, what is one thing that you can do within the next week to get you closer to your financial goals? Let's take a few seconds. And thank you so much, Christy, for your comment. I'm glad that you feel like it seems, easy, doable to get started. Oh, I love that one. We have some subscriptions to cancel. It's amazing how many subscriptions some of us have without even realizing it, right?
I got rid of YouTube TV this week. It was a big step.
Congratulations.
I don't use it, so I got rid of it like 2 days ago.
Like, we realized we were paying for like the premium or some kind of version for Netflix that was like $28 a month, and they had a $17 option, and I'm like, why are we doing that, right? So
sit through the ads though. Meg yells at me with these ads.
True. I love setting an auto transfer to savings. That's huge. I know every month I don't even think about it. It just comes out of my account and goes straight to my high yield savings. So these are all great little steps. I love stop the daily coffee purchases. Wow, Jim, that's brave of you. Some people can't do that.
Well, you make it at home, Jim, I assume, right? You don't just stop drinking. I couldn't just stop drinking coffee.
Yeah, you gotta.
I like the option, Jess, here, talking to your partner about money goals. That is key. Yeah. Underrated.
That's something too that kind of surprises me, that I have encountered some couples, some friends of mine, or some clients who they don't talk about this stuff, and they just kind of let one of the two deal with things. Like, I've talked to friends, and one of my friends is like, I don't even know what the rate is. I don't know anything about it. That's what my husband deals with. And it's like, okay, that's a choice. You could live like that. But, having these conversations again about things that maybe aren't so comfortable to talk about are really important, and they can kind of help take you to that next level that you want to get to. Yep. So thank you guys so much for your participation, for being here. We have our contact info if you want to stay connected. You can follow us on social media, book a call if you want to talk more. But we hope that this is kind of a conversation that can continue. We want to be a resource to you guys. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you.
Thank you all. You can sign off whenever. And thank you guys. I love the clapping hand emojis.
Thank you. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Guys, thank you. Nice. Good job.